Hello, South Africa, and welcome back to the MrShowTym showcast. I was laying on my bed, staring at the ceiling, and I was just thinking, since the 2024 elections, the most important elections of our lifetime, both in terms of what's happening in America, hashtag Trump 2024, and here in our very own first world South Africa. 2024 is going to be huge. It's going to be a spectacle because it's the pivotal turning point between do or die. Okay? Hashtag save South Africa. Now, I've been in this video, I thought I'd do something interesting. Something that I've never seen any other content creator here in South Africa do. And that's, we're going to be analyzing the different types of MPs within the Democratic Alliance party. I've nominated 3 because those are the 3 that I know. I don't know anyone else previously, if there is anyone else. So the 3 MPs, past and present, that I'm going to be psychoanalyzing are Hellen, Zille, Mmusi, Maimane, and the current DA's MP, John Steenhuisen, who is looking very likely to be the next president of South Africa. And I strongly believe we need it. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Hellen Zille, okay? The type of MP that she was, and her effects and her success, during her tenure within the party. Here in South Africa, our politics is very primitive. It's still very primitive, okay? It's unlike in America where it's got to do with policies. Here in South Africa, we're still playing the whole identity politics. Because we are still a young democracy. We are still a young first world country. So it's going to take us some time to get to the advanced level, such as, how they are in America. I keep referencing America because, hey, listen, that's the main event, okay? But I'll come back to that thingy shortly. Hold on. Okay. I'll come back to that. So our politics here in South Africa is very simple, straightforward. Who's committing fraud? Who's committing corruption? Who's engaging in corruption? Who's money laundering thingy? But it's very straightforward. It doesn't yet require higher grade, heavy intellectual thinking, critical thought. It's very simple. And with regards to the popular vote, because here in South Africa, you just need the popular vote to win. And in terms of demographics, race does still play a part in which party the majority vote for, because the majority demographic here in South Africa are blacks, right? The ninjas. We are 60%, we make up 60% of the population, so it does cater to, it's determined by the black vote. Now, unfortunately, and I say this with no offense, but unfortunately, so many of, the black votes consist of people who are of the elder generation, the people that came from, those days back in the past, uneducated, not very politically astute, very slow on the uptake. Okay, now I'm being petty. They're not very educated. They don't know how to think politically. Okay, they're very emotional, very impulsive, and for the longest time, the black vote has been, the success of any party has been determined by what color is the person that they're voting for. And these emotional escapades such as, oh, we the ANC, we rescued you from apartheid, so you better vote for us. And that's the same playbook so many black people have been falling for decades. And it's sad. These people vote in these corrupt politicians and then they complain about the poor service delivery. I mean, it's like, my goodness, you voted them in there. Why are you complaining? And then, you ask the typical black South African, what they think of the Democratic Alliance. Have you ever thought about the DA? They're like, but I don't want to vote for the white man. I don't want to vote for the return of the apartheid regime because DA stands for de-apartheid. Wow. You ninjas are very slick when it comes to everything backwards and dysfunctional and all things stupidity. So you want to live in white neighborhoods. You want to take your kids to white schools where the management staff are all white. But when it comes to voting, oh no. Oh, the white man, oh no, racism. Oh, I don't want to vote for racism. Amazing. Amazing how so many of our people think. Now again, it's definitely not all of us, but it's the majority of us. There are exceptions such as yours truly, right? But people who think like me, right? Ninjas who think like me, we experience a lot of hostility from our people, when they find out that we are higher end intellectuals. We support the DA. Why? Because we understand how the world works. We understand politics better than the average South African. Anyway, that's enough of a rant. I just wanted to paint the picture leading up to the topic, right? So, we had Hellen Zille in the DA, right? We had Hellen Zille, and she wasn't very successful. Although she tried very hard to pander to the black vote. She tried, doing rallies, singing in Zulu and Xhosa and dancing. And she was doing the traditional Zulu dancing, right? And she tried. She tried her level best. Sadly, part of the reason why, the reason why she wasn't successful in drawing in the black voters because of her skin color. Black South Africans were not ready. This was like in the early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. The black population of South Africa wasn't ready to accept someone who's deemed to be of the slave masters, right? The slave masters. I'm just being hysterical, parody by saying this, right? So the black population wasn't yet ready to accept or to vote for someone who's of the Caucasian community, considering their past. Right, so a lot of black folks are still in fear of but I don't want to vote for her because of the fear of racism and the return of apartheid. Right, that's why. And it was absolutely silly, if you understand how South Africa's judiciary system is made up. We are a democratic republic. They cannot bring back apartheid because that goes. It goes against the constitution. But so many black South Africans do not understand that. Why? Because they think on the emotions. So, tried as she might, Hellen Zille, she tried pandering and she tried, speaking in Zulu. It didn't quite work out. Why? Because of the timing. Now, I predict that if Hellen Zille was still around today as the DA's MP, she might have some traction. Might. Now, moving on from Hellen Zille, the next MP that came into place was not necessarily Lindy Mazibuko. She was there. I can't remember her role, but Mmusi Maimane. Mmusi Maimane was the most transformational MP the DA has ever had, because he drew in the black vote like a mother sucker. He drew in the black vote. Why? Because he was very charismatic. Whenever he came on, on TV, he did his ads, his commercials for the DA, his campaigns. He had that appeal of hope. Because considering, the timing, this was somewhere after 2012 or so. Plenty of South Africans were tired by then. They had an inclination that, okay, the current ruling party is on some BS, right? So, but it wasn't bad enough yet. It was people recognized that it was bad, but not bad enough yet. They just needed just a little bit more marinating, a little bit more seasoning in suffering for them to realize that they need to vote for something different. Hello? But Mmusi Maimane was very transformational. Why? Because of his charisma. Right? Here's how... Okay, I'll get to this in a second. Mmusi Maimane reminds me a lot... he reminds me of Barack Obama. Barack Obama, he drew in everyone back in 2008 because of his charisma. His natural presidential appeal. Right? I remember when he came down here in South Africa. When was this? Like somewhere in 2010, 2012. Came here to South Africa for a state visit. And he was like, just by him talking, it doesn't matter what Barack Obama says. Right? So, my fellow South Africans, Nelson Mandela, his struggles was your struggle. And we can learn a lot going for, he can say anything, and the people will be like, oh, he's such an inspiration. Right? Barack Obama just has a talent. He just has that aurora, just that appeal, that pull, that presidential appeal. And Barack Obama could say anything. He could literally talk about assassinating about destroying the country. Yeah, we're gonna brainwash the kids, and we're gonna introduce the universal healthcare, and it's gonna be great. And people will still be like, oh, he's such an inspiration. Mmusi Maimane was the same way, very similar. He just had that appeal of hope. They have resorted to racial hatred and corruption, but we, the DA, we should, So like that hopeful strategist, which worked perfectly considering his timing. Also, you have to consider the timing. So the timing also worked well for him in terms of drawing in the black vote, because people were sick and tired of the ANC's corruption, like seriously. And then came in Meneer John Steenhuisen. Now, sadly, I don't know, I'm not sure what happened within the DA. They lost him. Mmusi Maimane quit, he left the DA, and in came John Steenhuisen. And at first, when I first saw him, I was like, who's this guy? Because John Steenhuisen doesn't have a natural alpha male's appeal. In terms of drawing in the public, he doesn't make you want to listen to him as much as Mmusi Maimane did. John Steenhuisen is not the type of candidate where you're like, okay, I want to listen to what he has to say, and not really. The only reason why I support him is because he's the first. I mean, when the DA, voted him in as the MP. I said to myself, wow, the DA has guts. Because, unfortunately, this is not me. I'm just thinking for the genuine average South African that they're trying to appeal to. They still care a lot about how their leader looks ethnically, racially. And now I'm thinking, okay, the DA just had a black MP. Now they're going back to a white MP, which didn't work for them previously. Wow, that's pretty ballsy. And then I said to myself, okay, let me see what John Steenhuisen has to offer. And what I'm seeing is John Steenhuisen talks a lot only about policies, which is like the essential aspect of politics. Policies. Now, I got very wary at first because if you're gonna appeal to black folks, you don't appeal to black folks with logic and reason and policies, because black folks, they just like you bore them to sleep. That's just not how black folks operate. You don't appeal to them on a logical front, on a logical basis with policies and political strategies and innovation and you know, that's just not how black people function. I'm sorry. However, I've seen that, you know, considering the state of the country, inflation, the corruption that's going on, all these shenanigans we're going through, this is seemingly it's working for John Steenhuisen. They're talking about they're going to get rid of affirmative action. We don't discriminate based on race. No more quotas and transformation. Only the best person gets the job. You prove yourself, and you earn your colors via your merit, right? And they've shown receipts what they're doing in the Western Cape. You know, it's very clean, and they have martial law walking up and down. Security is very clean. And they said, hey, listen, South Africa, this is what we're doing in our background. If you put us in, we'll just implement and copy and paste that across the board nationwide. I'm pretty sure you want that. Yes? Of course. Why wouldn't you? Receipts. And that's what I like about John Steenhuisen. He doesn't... I'm not saying Mmusi Maimane was wrong for leading with charisma, because that's how you appeal to the black votes. Just be charismatic, you know. Mmusi Maimane... The bad thing about Mmusi Maimane is, if I had to critique him leading with charisma would have brought in a lot of people who just don't know how to think. Mmusi Maimane could have like easily said, okay, even if he ended up resorting in corruption, I'm not saying he would, I'm just, for example, let's say Mmusi Maimane engaged in corruption. The people that he drew in because of his charisma, they wouldn't understand, they wouldn't recognize. They would just be only honing in on his charisma, just like Barack Obama. And as you know, later, you realize Barack Obama is part of the Antichrist, the New World Order agenda, the globalist agenda, but that's a different story. I digress. And hey, but with that being said, I would never kill myself. So, what I like about John Steenhuisen is he's the first politician that forces South Africans to think critically about policies. He will leave a legacy of, okay, people actually listen to what he says, not from a charismatic point of view. Oh, I like how he talks, or I like the way he looks. No. Policies. What did John Steenhuisen say? Okay, he said he's going to get rid of affirmative action, get rid of quotas. He says he's going to create jobs just like how he did in the Western Cape. Policies! That's exactly how you should look at politics, via a candidate's policies, what they say they're going to do, and, and I think for the very first time, South Africans are going to be forced to actually think politically. They're going to have to upgrade their political literacy mentally. And John Steenhuisen is the first of his kind. He's the first breed that will make South Africans think strategically about politics. That's what makes John Steenhuisen great. Worthy to remember. He's the first of his kind, because with other parties in South Africa, they're just like, oh, Mshiniwa, they just dance and they're like, shoot the bull, kill the bull, all this primitive stuff. That's not progressing forward, it's actually regressing us. Now with the DA, with people like Hellen Zille, Mmusi Maimane, John Steenhuisen, we are going to move forward. It forces other parties to compete in the future, not just
resort to these emotional escapades of, oh, no, white man, oh, do you want to vote for apartheid?
Just shut up. That's not going to happen. Okay? John Steenhuisen is going to force the average NPC to think politically. What is being said? What is being promised? What is possible? He's going to force South Africans to, use their brain cells for change. That's what makes John Steenhuisen great. But I've already made this video a little bit too long. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful of the future. Next year it's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome, right? It's gonna be spectacular, folks. Make sure you register. I'm registered. I'm ready. I'm already guns blazing, locked and loaded. I'm registered. I'm ready to cast my vote for the Democratic Alliance. And I've never supported any other party except for the Democratic Alliance. This will even inspire the youth coming in, right? The young 18-year-olds in high school. I think with John Steenhuisen, it would have been with Mmusi Maimane as well. I think with John Steenhuisen going forward, we're going to have these politicians that we admire as role models because they're doing the right thing. They're upgrading South Africa. They're propelling us forward, not keeping us back. They're going to propel us forward intellectually. Think about Steenhuisen. I keep seeing him flying over to Germany and rubbing shoulders with those politicians. I'm like, what are you doing? Should be, over in America. I would love to see John Steenhuisen rub shoulders with the American senators and governors and their politicians and presidents. I would love to see John Steenhuisen shake hands with Donald Trump. Let's hang out with the Americans, right? But that's just me. That's me. That's my political forte. Because I want South Africa, America, United States relations to grow stronger. Because I want us to be a force to be reckoned with together. I want us to network in any shape or form. But if you've been watching this far, thank you so much for watching, folks. Listen, part of the reason why my channel has been shadow banned, okay? I'm part of the Red Pill Manosphere, and recently YouTube has disabled some of my channel features. I need your help. Please subscribe to my Rumble page. Go to rumble.com/MrShowTym and just hit the follow button. Just subscribe there. You don't need to watch my videos. Just subscribe. Just support the show. Support the great show Sodamus. Because I'm risking life and limb by doing these videos for you. Okay? This is my service to the people. Okay? But thanks for watching, and cheers.